Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kev's Movie Corner. I am Kev. This week I have Nikki joining me from the regular podcast, and we are going to be talking about Anastasia. And Nick, this was released in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
You said
that
I
was born.
You really? Okay.
Yeah, I was born in 1997. Why did that make you stop?
I thought you were. I guess I thought you were closer to my age than that. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Because this is several years after I was born. But anyway.
Sorry.
You said you watched this a lot when you were a kid.
Yes, all the time.
I never saw this when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I don't remember ever seeing this movie.
It's crazy. I watched this as much as I watched The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella. Like, this was just part of that for me. I thought it was a Disney movie forever.
Yeah,
That's how much I watched it.
This is 20th Century Fox. Mm-hmm. So Fox Animation, which interestingly enough is now owned by Disney. So technically now it is a Disney movie, but it's not a Disney animated feature. So I thought this was a good movie. It has a ton of big names in it. Let's see here. Meg Ryan voices Anastasia. John Cusack voices Dimitri. Christopher Lloyd voices Rasputin. Kelsey Grammer voices Vladimir. Hank Azaria voices the little bat character. But anyway, the first person that I noticed in this movie, first song comes on. Mm-hmm. You know, it's obviously a 1990s animated feature, so it's a musical. Of course it is. Mm-hmm. But first song comes on, and it's Anastasia and her grandmother singing, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought almost immediately, I'm like, you know what? That sounds like Mrs. Potts. You know who Mrs. Potts is? You know what I'm talking about, right?
In Beauty and the Beast?
Beauty and the Beast, yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is. I didn't get up. I didn't get up and check it because my phone was across the room and I didn't really care that much. But I did watch after the thing, and yes, it is. Angela Lansbury plays the Dowager Empress Marie, so she plays the grandmother.
Dowager. Yeah.
Dowager. Yeah. She plays grandma.
Interesting.
In this, which she passed away earlier this year, so that's unfortunate. But anyway, yeah.
I saw that, yeah, because so did the other lady who played the Dowager on Downton and was on Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
Dame.
Why can't I think
Maggie
of her
Smith?
name? Yeah.
Is it Maggie Smith?
Yeah, I think you're correct.
Anyways, they both passed away this year.
That was just recently. Yeah, that one was just within the last probably month or so. But yeah, a bunch of big names in this. None of it really stood out to me as remembering it, but it is about the Romanov family. Anastasia is supposedly the story of the Romanovs for a long time. We talked about it in our episode. If you were able to watch that this week, yay for you, yay for us. There was a belief for a long time that she and possibly her and her little brother had survived the assassination of the Romanov family in 1917. Now, they don't really go into that in this movie because it's obviously an animated kids movie. They just kind of say that bad things happened to the family and the grandmother made it. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely tone it down. I was also thinking about this, like, obviously there's a lot of history and you can't put all that in an animated movie, but also I feel like the kids and myself growing up, like speaking for myself, I could very much understand that there is this villain, which in this movie is Rasputin. Mm-hmm. Like I can understand a villain, but I can't understand a political party, a revolution, all that. So I like that they just made just like one
They
villain,
just
and
kind of
that was
made
kind of
him
the
the villain.
explanation. And they
Yeah.
didn't really show anything bad except that it's very obvious that something happened, and
Yeah.
um, the granddaughter and grandma were trying to escape.
Hmm.
I like how they did that for sure.
Oh, it was done very well, and whenever there's a musical, um, I I like musicals. I like listening to the music.
Mhm.
None of these songs really stood out to me except for the villain song.
They
His song,
Really?
his song
So
stood
Once
out to me.
Upon a December is like
Is
I still listen to that. And that is
it's
such like a hauntingly good song
it was
to me
nice.
from my childhood.
It was nice.
Yeah.
I will agree with that. But none of these stood out to me um like, and this may just be because I don't have the connection to them as a child like you do.
Yeah, possibly.
But these didn't stand out to me like a lot of the Disney movies like Beauty and the Beast or something like that.
Yeah.
Or anything
Well,
like
those
that.
songs do get played way
They
more
do.
also.
They do.
Yeah.
But my favorite in this was the villain song, which was a lot of fun, and I like Christopher Lloyd, because he's just a character. I mean, he played Doc Brown in Back to the Future, so I mean, have you ever? I'm gonna ask this
No.
question. Um. Okay.
Have you
Yeah.
noticed like
No. I know.
there's a trend.
I
Whenever I'm on a movie
know.
episode, it's because one time a year I've seen this movie and I said we should
I
do
know.
this.
But the but
Every other episode I'm not
but
on
Back to the
because I have
Future.
not seen movies.
But Back to the Future isn't on this list. Like I would. Anyway, yeah. So it starts out with the whole thing of the Romanovs. Rasputin kind of comes in and puts a curse on the family, and that's how they basically explain away how everything happened and
Yeah.
everybody's in a bad situation. Anastasia ends up trying to go with her grandmother to get to Paris. She falls off the train and hits her head. Doesn't remember anything that happens, and the whole
Mhm.
movie is her trying to a couple of con men trying to get the money from the royal family, the reward for her, and then end up
Mhm.
eventually realizing that it is actually her, that she is actually
Yeah.
the royal. Uh, they call her a princess, but that's not really what her title would have been. I don't remember exactly what her title
It would
was,
be
but
like Zarina or
yeah,
no, because that was the wife of the Tsar. Yeah, it's something else, but
yeah,
yeah, I
but
think they just use princess.
um, but yeah, it's a very nice movie. The music is very
Mhm.
nice. It made me go back, and because I like Angela Lansbury so much and like her, listening to her, it made me go back and listen to Beauty and the Beast, a bunch of different things from Beauty and the
Aw.
Beast.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but notice that I think this is probably part of this going on. Is this came out in '97, which is kind of in the middle of what is considered the Disney Renaissance, the Disney decade in the
Mhm.
'90s, when they came out with it was '89 that The Little Mermaid came out, but The Lion King
Yeah.
came out, Beauty and the Beast came out. There was a bunch of big Aladdin came out. There was a bunch of
Mhm.
big films that came out for Disney in that time, a bunch of now what are considered classics. Um,
Yeah.
but and I'm sure that these were trying to play off of that and trying to gather some of that same
Mhm.
um,
Like energy and
magic.
style and
But
yeah.
I don't. It was a little different because it doesn't look. It's not. It doesn't look quite as crisp as a Disney
Mhm.
film, which is crazy to me. Like I would think that. I mean, Fox obviously has a lot of money. That's not a.
Mhm.
It's not. It's just. It just looks a little off. When I was watching it, it just looked a little off, and I don't know why.
I always liked this style because and I was looking this up after because I was like, okay, what was a Disney film and what was a Fox film? Because in my childhood they all were just
Yeah.
movies to me. So thinking of The Land Before Time, All Dogs Go to Heaven,
Hmm.
I was like, okay, they do seem a little different.
Yeah. They look a
Yeah.
little different.
Hmm.
One of the things I noticed about this is I it looked like they tried to mix in some computer graphics. Like there was parts where you could tell that it didn't look like most of the people looked like hand drawn characters.
Mm-hmm.
But there was some of the scenes, like one of the scenes with like the train when it's going down the tracks, and like there's certain points where it almost feels like they tried to mix it in, and it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it doesn't quite look right because it doesn't. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really at the same point yet where it's
Yeah.
where it's not noticeable. Um, but it was. I mean, it was very well done. It was a very nice movie.
Yeah.
The music it flows very well. It's only an hour and a half, so it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't. There wasn't ever any downtime, like where I was like bored or anything. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty pushing it forward. I was surprised
Yeah.
actually though at how dark it got at times, and I don't mean like lighting. I mean like the feeling of the movie got really dark,
Mm-hmm.
especially with like um, the main protagonist being in the underworld for a third of the movie. And
Mm-hmm.
like at the end, when spoiler alert, when he dies, he turns, like you see him turn into a skeleton, like melt into a skeleton, and then just blow away as dust, which is not something I was expecting to see in a
Yeah.
child's movie
It was
because
very much like almost what they do in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where the vampires like literally you see them die. Yeah, you don't see that in a lot
yeah.
of like Disney movies
No,
and
no. The
yeah.
closest thing I could think of would be the Black Cauldron, which was kind of dark as well. But and they
Yeah,
actually
I
cut
haven't
scenes
seen
from that because of how dark it was. But
Interesting.
and toned it back a little bit. But it's not like those are scenes that would I could see giving a kid a nightmare. Like this is supposed to be a kids movie, and
Yeah.
I'm like this could be nightmare fuel for
Hmm.
a little person.
I guess
Um,
I never really paid attention because there's also a lot of happiness in the movie,
there
and
is,
maybe that's just
yeah,
what I remember. I remember the singing, the love, the dancing, the grandma. I didn't even think about the nightmare fuel
yeah,
part of it.
and that's also me looking at it as a 35-year-old being the first time that I've ever
You
watched this
definitely
movie.
have a
So
more like analytical eye, especially when it comes to the animation and everything, versus I'm just like, that was a good movie.
yeah, I mean, it's just it's interesting to me because like when I did watch, like I said, I went watch back and watched some clips from Beauty and the Beast because I wanted to see some of
Hmm.
it, and I just wanted to compare it a little bit because Beauty and the Beast came out 6 years before this movie, and
Hmm.
it it looks newer. It looks more crisp and more um, uh, flowing, in my opinion. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't. There
And I don't
was.
know what their budget was or
Oh, I don't.
anything, but this
Yeah.
movie had like it had everything I wanted as a kid. It
Yeah.
had a strong woman protagonist. It had a dog companion, Puka, who's so cute. I every time he was on the screen, like I get so happy. Even still. And I mean, it had at one point she's like, "Oh, all men are babies," and I'm like, "Is this why
Yeah.
I was so sassy
Yeah.
from like such
That,
a young age?"
I mean, that's
So it
true.
just
We
had like
are.
everything that fueled like my personality as a kid and still. Um, so it probably also fueled some of the delusion of like life is perfect, life is happy. The love story always ends up working, but that's any, princess movie or whatever.
Yeah. Um. And I understand that. Like, I am. I'm comparing this to a little bit to Beauty and the Beast, which isn't really fair. Um. Because Beauty and the Beast is the only animated feature to ever be nominated for a Best Picture. So
Mm,
like it's
I didn't
it's
know that.
obviously a top
Hmm.
rated animated
Yeah.
feature of all time. But you asked how much it cost. Anastasia had a budget of $53 million and made 140 million at the box office.
Hmm.
And Beauty and the Beast had a budget of 25 million, so half, a little under half the budget, and made 424 million at the box office.
Wow.
So made almost 3.5 times as much at the box office with half the budget. Now you are getting a little bit from being the Disney name, obviously.
And inflation, I don't know. They weren't that far apart though. That
No, it
inflation
was
should be
6
that
years.
much. Maybe a couple million.
Yeah, it was 6 years, so
off.
it would have been a probably a couple million or something like that. But
Yeah.
nothing too crazy.
So it did have. So Anastasia did have a couple. Nothing like Beauty and the Beast had. But Journey to the Past was Best Original Song at the Academy Awards, and then it also was up for Best Original Music or Comedy Score. I don't know that it won though. But anyways, so it did have some nominations, but I was surprised that Journey to the Past was the song that was nominated and not Once Upon a December. That was always interesting to me. So I feel like that's the more popular one from it.
Is Once Upon a December, is that an original song? I don't know if it's an old lullaby or something or not, but that's the only thing that I could come up with is that it's not an original, it's like an old lullaby.
I'm not sure.
Because they play it off as being a lullaby.
Could possibly be.
I don't know which one was Journey to the Past. What song was that? I don't remember what song that was.
It was in the beginning and then a little bit in the end. Or when she starts to remember her identity, it's exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
It's her journey to remembering the past, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know when Once Upon a December was originally, but yeah, no, I love this movie. It's everything I wanted as a kid. I mean, a powerful woman, a love story, and a dog. That's basically my life. So
yeah,
that's my review of this movie.
Yeah. My review is it was very good. I'm glad I watched it. Like, it's something different. It's something nice to see, and it's got a little bit of a historical tie too, which makes it different from a lot of other movies. Like, Beauty and the Beast. I mean, the story's been around for a long time, but it's not based in any sort of reality. Neither is The Little Mermaid or anything like that. Those are just old fairy tales. This one actually is kind of tied into a story and a piece of history that happened in real life, which makes it a little more interesting and something else that's fun.
Yeah, for sure.
But I did like the way that it was done. It was fun to watch, and I'm glad we took the time to watch it, Nick. I'm glad you got to watch it again. I'm glad I got to watch it. I'd recommend it for just if you like like a Disney animated movie. This is gonna be just a lot like that. Like it's a lot of fun. Fun might be the wrong word, but it's like a classic princess movie. Like, But anyway, Nick, I think that's it for this week. I know you won't be joining me next week because this is the one movie a year. Next week, Intolerance, 1916. I think that's the oldest movie on this list, or one of the oldest movies on this list. 1916 is a long flipping time ago.
Yeah, over 100 years.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. And I know you've never watched it, so I'm not even going to ask that because I've never watched it, and I'm pretty sure
the oldest movie I think I've seen is like maybe. Breakfast at Tiffany's isn't even that old in the grand scheme of things.
I was gonna say if you say Jaws,
there's probably older ones. No, not Jaws. I've seen some like Charlie Chaplin films. That might be the oldest.
Oh, that's maybe. Old. That's in the 30s.
Yeah.
I mean, 20s or 30s.
Yeah, that's probably the oldest I've seen then.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
That's some of the oldest ones I've seen. That's some of the first movies.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's some of the first movies. Like,
I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm a movie buff, Kev.
So do you want to watch Intolerance and come on next week again?
No. No, I don't.
Okay. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll talk to you guys next week.